Hey guys, Baily Hancock here. We are back for another episode, and today we have one of my friends, Julie Knapp.
Hey.
I'm super excited to have Julie because most days she fucking loves her job. And so I always love talking to people who love their jobs because it's fascinating to me when somebody can do the same thing mostly for a few years and still be super into it. So Julie is a casting associate, and I'll let her tell you all about what that means. And we're going to get to hear how the hell she figured out that was even a job, how she got it, all the grunt work she's done to get there, and potentially what's next. So Julie, welcome to the party.
Hey, Val.
Hi, buddy. So happy to have you here.
This is so exciting.
I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm so stoked for you. This is really, really cool. I get really bad dry mouth when I talk, so I apologize in advance.
Oh, good. So all the misophonia sufferers, just hold tight. It'll be okay. So, Julie, how does one, become a Julie Knapp, associate casting director? Did you want to be that when you grew up? What did you think you were going to do with your life when you were growing up?
Well, let's go way, way, way back.
All the way.
way back. So I was born and raised in North Jersey, like a half hour outside of New York. So it's a really, really culturally rich area in every aspect of that. It's very similar to like the outskirts of LA, where you're so close to where everything happens and you have it at your fingertips. And thankfully, I have a family who is just as into the arts as I am. And I grew up going to Broadway shows maybe like once a month, once every couple months.
Man, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. So from the time I was maybe 5 or 6, I was getting immersed in like the best theater in the world.
Do you remember your first show?
I don't remember the order, but I think it was Grease.
Pretty solid start.
Yeah, I can't swear to it, but like I also remember when we went to see Grease, they had this thing at the beginning. They have like a dance off for the audience, and you get to go on stage and dance. And this is hard for you to believe, I'm sure. I was a really, really shy little kid.
I don't believe that. That's crazy.
Incredibly shy. And I didn't want to go on stage. And my mom looks at me and she goes, "Julie, you're only going to get one chance to dance on Broadway. Go." And she pushed me and I went up and I danced, and I obviously did not win. But like, that's my, I've danced on Broadway.
That's a great 2 truths and a lie statement. I have danced on Broadway.
Technically, I have danced on Broadway.
Hey, nobody needs to worry about the technicalities. This is Hollywood after all. Yeah.
So I really fell in love with that, but I was still super, super shy. And then my mom, I think it was the summer either going into 5th grade or into 6th grade, we have a really great local theater in our town. And Mom was like, "Oh, you're going to," it wasn't "you should go to theater camp." It's "you are going to theater camp." That's what's happening. So I went with one of my best friends, who's still one of my best friends, and we went for 1 week. And what it was is on Monday, you had auditions. And on Friday, you had the show.
Whoa.
It was that quick of a turnaround. It was all kids, probably ages 9 to 13. And it was incredible. It's when I went back since and watched the performances and was like,
ooh.
But I just remember at the time it meant the world to me. I was so all about it. Even after the first week I did it, I was like, oh my God, this is the thing. Like, this is the thing that I really, really love.
And how old were you?
10?
Yes.
I'm guessing. So at 10, I knew that I wanted to do something in entertainment. And that was like, that whole process of going to theater camp is the thing that sort of got me to come out of my shell. It was the first time I never moved. When I go to visit my parents, I'm still going back to my childhood bedroom.
Oh, wow.
So from the time I was in kindergarten, never really needed to make any new friends because we were all together the whole way up. So going to camp was the first time I was like, oh, I need to talk to new people sometimes and not, just sit in my bubble. So it really was a great intro for what acting is and what performance is and what live performance is and what that process is, I guess. Because up until then, I don't think I knew. I think I just sort of thought like, oh, these are the people on stage and they're always on stage, and these are the people on TV and they're always on TV, and that's.
You're only thinking of the finished product.
Exactly. You don't think of, steps 1 through a million. You just get the final product. And it was a great, like, oh no, like there's so much work that goes into this that you don't know about. So I go through middle school, still doing theater camp. And then in high school, oh no, I feel like I'm skipping ahead. This is so not linear.
This is Julie's story. You take this path however you want.
So in high school, we had a really great like mass media program, which
like a morning show kind of thing.
No, we didn't have our school didn't have TVs in any of the classrooms. It was just like basically a studio, and people from the program like have gone on to make like big movies that they're like the writers, producers. It's really, really cool. And so we had state-of-the-art equipment. And I took 2 honors classes in high school. I took honors bio, which I did poorly. And I took honors TV production. And like that was the thing that stuck. And I remember our final project in honors TV production was you had to take a TV script and reproduce it in this tiny, tiny studio.
That's really cool.
And we picked an episode of Will and Grace. And like we had to learn the lines, we had to act in it, we had to record it, we had to edit it, we had to do ADR, we had to do like the entire thing. And I was like, wow.
That's incredible.
I really, 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 really want to do this. Like
what was your role in that?
That was Grace.
Of course.
I've always been a Grace. I'm always going to be a Grace.
Those of you just listening and not watching, Julie has voluptuous red hair, red curly, big hair, and that couldn't be more well suited for.
I'm a redheaded Jew from New Jersey. Like I'm obviously Grace. It just
clearly. Role of a lifetime. So until this point, did you assume you were still going to go on to the acting side, or were you kind of open?
I don't know what I thought. I really, really don't. But I've always been someone, we're now going to circle back, who sort of had the goal at the end to some degree. Like I have an older brother Dave, who's 6 years older than me. And when I was in 7th grade, he was doing the college tour, like the great college tour of the Northeast. And we were somewhere between like Philly and Albany. And my dad turns around in the car and he was like, you better be getting a good look at this because we're never doing this again. Like,
so you had to do the college tour 7 years ago.
College tour at 12 years old. And I remember getting to Syracuse and being like, yep. This is the one.
Like I assume you didn't go in the winter time, or
no, we went in the summer. Yeah, no.
You got duped.
In retrospect. So like I knew in 7th grade that I wanted to go to Syracuse. And it just so happened that they have one of the best communications departments in the country. And it was just that was a fluke. That was nothing but a fluke that the school that I always wanted to go to had the program I didn't know I needed.
What was it about Syracuse that sold you at 12?
I don't know. It's just like I
felt right.
It just felt right. I think once that process sort of started, when you get into high school, you're like, oh, I need to think of colleges that I could potentially want to attend. The only school that even like was still in my head was Syracuse. Like I hadn't stopped thinking about it. Like it was just, there was something about it that made me fall in love with it. And again, I was not there in the winter.
Yeah. A little different.
But I was also, here's the thing, like you didn't know me in high school and college. Like I feel like when we met, I was pretty similar to, I lost 100 pounds after I moved to LA, which I can't remember.
No, I was definitely after the Julie transformation. Yeah. I've only known you as you today.
But also like wasn't that cold for me in Syracuse. Like I've definitely now become more afraid of the cold than I was then.
Just a skinny cold person now. You know, Julie, you've really lost your true essence.
Damn.
So you end up at Syracuse. Did you were you one of those kids that you signed up for your freshman year, your first semester, like you signed up for the major that you would stay with the entire time?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. So because everyone had always said like, oh, you know, you should get into hosting. I'm sure you've heard the same. They're like, oh, you're gonna be the next Oprah. And I'm like, first of all, absolutely not. But like, that's at least something, because at this point I still didn't really know what jobs were in the entertainment industry, because when you're making that, you know, program in high school, you're doing everything. You don't know where the lines are.
You don't know whose role that would be in real life. Got it.
You're just sort of doing everything. So I went into Newhouse thinking I was going to be a broadcast journalism major. So that's what I declared as. And I was 15 minutes into my first class, and I was like, oh no.
That happened to me with reporting. I was like, whoa, this sucks. I don't want to do this at all.
I was like, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. And everyone I was with was like super, super smart and super into the news, and they all knew all the news reporters. And like my intro class was all about like the integrity of journalism. And I was like, it's so far off base with what I thought broadcast journalism was. So I walked out of the class at the end of the class, went to my advisor, and was like, I think I want to do the one with the cameras. No, I want to do the one with the cameras. I don't want to do the one with the reporting. He was like, oh yeah, let's switch that.
Yeah, minor detail.
But it's funny because I've never been a film person, which in LA is I think the minority for sure. I think most people
like a film junkie that's like obsessed with the arts of it all. And
like I love film, don't get me wrong, but like I've never had that desire really to like work in film. I always knew that it was TV.
I kind of feel like, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I sort of feel like you're either a TV person or a movie person. I definitely am.
I don't know that I agree. I think as far as viewing patterns go, that tends to be more true. But I think a lot of people that work in the industry will take whatever job they can get.
That's fair.
Whichever job they get first, that's sort of what their path is. Right. And I think had my first job been in film, this could be a completely different conversation.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't. Like I've always worked in TV. I did one movie and it was like, but it was also, I was doing extras casting.
Oh, so it's a little different.
It was a little couldn't be more different. Where were we? College. So you switch, you go to your advisor, you're like, hold up, I want the other camera one. Yeah. So then I started doing like following the TV production route. And it's so funny because Syracuse now has this amazing drama department, which I think most schools that have some sort of communications department, I assume, would also have a drama department, but they never mixed. Like the theater department, and I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, Syracuse, would not at the time allow their drama students to act in the student films and the student,
which makes zero sense.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
So what casting was back then was, hey, which one of my friends is available this Saturday who'll do for beer and pizza? That's who's going to be the lead in your short.
So it was very highly technical and sophisticated, the process. Yeah.
The process, it was grueling. There were callbacks. It was a whole thing.
Oh man. I would have been your volunteer every single time had we gone to college together.
I'm sure. But I took this great TV production intensive where we had to create a show from scratch we created the concept, we wrote the scripts, we built the sets, we recorded it, we edited it, we made the score for it. It was everything. Wow. And it was the first time they ever let someone from the drama department do the production. She was sort of like the guinea pig, and it was just like, oh, the quality here is infinitely better. But I mean, I have the DVD. If you ever want to see it, I'll show you.
Oh yeah. I kind of feel like we should put it on YouTube and link to it, frankly.
That's it. It's not out of the realm of possibility that it's on YouTube.
All right. So my homework after this is just dig up all Julie YouTube videos.
I'm sure there's some weird stuff on there.
It's YouTube.
Don't go digging. You don't know what you're going to find.
Only if I've got a full day ahead of me. So, all right. So you graduate.
Yeah, so I didn't really know casting was a thing until I was a senior. So here's the kicker. This is where all of the bits of the puzzle sort of came together. So you have to do like internships in college. So I'm just going to gloss over this to get to my point. I interned at the Maury show.
Oh God.
My junior and senior year of college.
Oh God. Amazing.
Everything you imagine and more. And then I came back to school and so I'm like, okay, well, like, I guess maybe I'll work on.
Wait, did you do casting for Maury, or were you kind of all over the place?
What the interns do or did at the time is we would take the calls. You know, at the end of every episode, there's like, if you or someone you know, blah, 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 call Maury.
Your baby daddy is cheating on you.
Yeah. So we would get some of just like the craziest calls you've ever heard in your entire life. And we had to like jot down these notes and present them to the producers, like the ones that we thought were the best. We had to like present to the producers, and they'd say yes.
What was your rubric for the best?
Oh well, there were categories.
Go on.
There. Oh God.
I'm just insanely. So I asked this because just last week I was getting my nails done, and they happened to have Maury on, and I was like, well, A, I didn't know this show was still on. B, who willingly says yes to their girlfriend of going on a show to get like DNA tests done? Like who, knowing that they are not the father or are the, like who says yes to that?
There's a lot of people who have never left their small town that are very willing to do what it takes to get a free trip to New York.
Is that, do you think, what it is? Like,
I do.
Oh man.
And I think it's a lot of people that think that they're going to get their 15 minutes from it and that it's going to lead to something. It's a lot of people who may have nothing to lose.
Fair. Okay, well, that answers my question. I literally was asking the nail lady. I turned to her. I'm like, who does this? Yeah. That's the answer.
It was, we got some really interesting people.
And you're what, like 19, 20 at this point?
I was 20.
Yeah. So that's a good.
And like I was doing that 3 days a week, commuting from New Jersey into Manhattan. And it was an unpaid internship. So like that's coming out of pocket. So to save money, I would sleep on the floor of my brother's studio apartment.
Yikes. And then go into Maury every day.
Yeah. So it's very like, and I just remember sitting there with him one day. He's like, someday you're going to laugh about this. I was like, I'm never going to find this funny. It's like, oh no, it's very super, super funny that I lived on my brother's floor so that I could intern at Maury.
Yeah, no, I feel good about that laughter story. Yeah, he was right. Your brother was right.
He's a smart dude.
Okay, so after Maury.
So I go back to college after my Maury internship thinking, okay, well, after I graduate, I'll move to New York because that's what everyone does. And, I'll work on a talk show or something. And while I'm doing that, I'll figure it out. I don't know.
Did you have like an ideal talk show you wanted to work on? Who were you watching at the time?
I was watching everything. I mean, I've been a Kelly Ripa fan.
Oh, yeah.
Since she was
All My Children?
Lily Santos
on All My Children.
All My Children.
Same.
Like, I would watch Kelly Ripa read the phone book.
Right.
I love her. So like, I've always wanted to work. wanted to work on Regis and Kathie Lee when I was little. Then it was, you know, all the
You're right. That was like the go-to morning show for a really long time.
Yeah.
I guess it still kind of is. I don't know. I don't watch
would say it still
anymore,
is.
but yeah. Okay. So you planned to go work for a talk show. That was the path you were going to take.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
And then my best girlfriend and I went to go see a movie when we were still at Syracuse. And I'm not going to put the movie on blast just because I don't recall who cast it, and I, you know, don't want to lose a job in the future.
Don't burn any bridges from like
any bridges.
Yeah.
But we saw this movie, and it had an extremely well-known actor in it who had a lot going on in the tabloids at the time.
Okay.
And she was supposed to be playing this super bubbly, carefree, sweet girl in this movie. And we walk out of the movie, and my friend was like, well, what'd you think? Like, you know, I didn't hate it, but I just didn't believe so-and-so as that role. You know who it should have been? It should have been Leighton Meester from Gossip Girl. Like, if it was Leighton Meester from Gossip Girl, I think I could have stayed in the movie better. And she looked at me, she was like, oh my God, that's exactly who that should have been. Because, you know, you should really get into casting. And it was literally the aha moment. The light bulb went off. Like, the world sort of stopped spinning for a second.
Like, it all
Everything came
makes
into
sense.
focus. And I'm just like, holy shit. That's exactly what I should do. I didn't even know it was a job.
I love that. When you realize the thing that you're fucking good at is actually a real job. Like, the same thing happened to me with event management. After I wanted to kill myself from reporting classes, I was like, I just wish I could plan events for a living. And somebody was like, you know, that's amazing. I was like, get out of town.
Why didn't anybody tell me?
Why didn't anyone tell me that? Oh, that's amazing.
The thing is, like, you grow up saying like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. You don't know a fraction of what the jobs are.
Like, kids know like 5 jobs, right? It's like firefighter, actor, teacher, astronaut, paleontologist, veterinarian, maybe, you know, like.
But then it's also like, sometimes the job doesn't exist yet.
I mean, that is the real scenario of today. Like, kids that are in high school today, good luck, guys. Good luck even imagining what you're going to be when you grow up, because it probably doesn't exist.
Well, that's the thing. My brother is like a user experience designer for websites. And
did not exist.
The job didn't exist when he was in college.
Nope.
Like, how do you prepare for that?
Well, even look at the like podcasts. Like, podcasts, granted, yes, they're like, you know, a new version of the radio, but this format did not exist, you know, 15 years ago. Certainly not. And when I decided to move to California to be a TV show host, I did not envision that could manifest itself into a podcast. You know, you just, you know what you know. And I think I always like asking what people wanted to be when they grew up, because you can usually find a shred of what they're doing today in that thing. And it's just because they didn't know all of the options, because the options might not have existed, or your tiny little child brain just couldn't understand and imagine everything.
Well, that's funny. In our 5th grade yearbooks, it says what we want to be when we grow up. And mine says veterinarian.
Right. Exactly.
I'm allergic to animals. I'm allergic to all the animals. I've always been allergic to all the animals. But like, all of my friends put veterinarian, so obviously that's what I put.
If it makes you feel better, I just found this picture the other day of 1991. I was in my one and only beauty pageant of my entire life, and it was the Little Miss Firefighter beauty pageant, and I won. And it's because when they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" What do you think I said? A firefighter. It was a panel full of firefighters as the judges. Yeah. And I was like, I want to be a firefighter. I think I said firefighter, teacher, or actress. Because, you know, those all go hand in hand really nicely.
I mean, the top 3, obviously.
Clearly. And again, those are like 3 of 6 careers little kids know about. But yeah, I totally like bluffed the judges, because I was like, they're going to eat this up. I'm totally going to tell them I'm going to be a firefighter. Whatever, strategy, kids. Okay, so you have your light bulb aha moment. This is what I should be doing with my life. Did you walk into, you know, a casting director's office the very next day and say, guys, I have found your next prodigy? That's how that works, right?
here's the thing. I get that call all the time. It's from agents like, I have the answer to all your problems. I'm like, so the plan for me was always move to New York or move to Hoboken, just stay in the tri-state area. That has always been my life plan. There was never an option to move anywhere else. It was just that, because that's what people who grew up in my town do. It's just what you do, Baily. You know,
I mean, I'm from Florida, Julie. You know that I know this. Yeah, most people don't leave Florida.
You go to college wherever you're going to go, and then you come back. You live in Hoboken, Jersey City, or Brooklyn. 90% of my graduating high school class either lives in my hometown, Jersey City, Hoboken, or Brooklyn.
So you're the one that got away, Jewel.
Yeah, right? But it's so funny. So at that time, so it's 2009, the only shows that were really filming in New York were like 30 Rock, Law and Order, and SNL. And if you couldn't get a job on one of those shows, like, you just weren't working on TV.
Well, this is also the height of the recession.
Yeah.
As well. And when did the writer's strike happen? 2010?
God, I don't remember, because I was not in it enough at the time to be paying attention.
It didn't affect you really yet.
The only reason it affected me was because all of the shows that I loved went on hiatus, and I didn't know why. And I was too ignorant at the time to want to look into it. It was just like, oh, they're not on. I guess I'll watch reruns of something or other. So I couldn't find a job. I went on a couple of interviews, and thinking that my selling point was, well, I was a television, radio, and film major, and I watch a lot of TV, and I know who the actors are.
What more do you want?
What more could you possibly want in an assistant? And I was like, God, I was so stupid. I was so dumb. It blows my mind how wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. And
don't you think that that's kind of necessary to survive that phase of your life? You kind of can't know how much you don't know. Otherwise you would just not even try, right?
Yeah, curl up in a ball.
Yeah. You have to be ignorant in order to just foolishly, forge your way ahead and assume I can get a job anywhere. Yeah. Kind of like Baily driving out 2,600 miles to LA being like, I've decided to be a TV show host, and that is what I shall. Get soon, LA. Get my trailer ready.
So then I got an internship in the city, working for a reality TV casting company. So they did reality TV and audience casting. So a lot of the shows you watch, award shows and talk shows and stuff like that, hire their audiences.
What are they looking for? A good clap? Do you make them clap?
Honestly, I think they just want 100 Baileys. They want people who know when they're supposed to laugh, who know when they're supposed to clap.
I can follow.
Exactly. Who understand where it's going, and are willing to just go along with it and enjoy themselves and not feel inhibited by the camera or microphone. They want people who are just gonna be excited to be there.
See, what's funny is I always think I'm a really bad live audience member because I don't necessarily laugh out loud at things. I'm more of an internal laugher. Yeah. On most TV shows, it takes a lot to make me actually out loud laugh. And so anytime I've been in the audience for a live filming, I'm like, oh no, you should laugh out loud, Baily. They want you to laugh out loud. That's why you're
loud,
here.
Baily, today.
That's literally only reason you're sitting in this audience is so your laughter can be picked up.
You have one job.
One job, and it's literally to laugh out loud. You got to LOL, Baily. You got to LOL.
Lol, your life depends on it.
Lol all day.
Lol, girl, lol.
So are you allowed to say what the reality shows were that you were casting for?
Oh, God. I honestly don't even remember. But it was with sort of tangentially with the people that cast Jersey Shore.
I was going to say, I feel like you're in the zone for that time frame, 09, 10.
Peak Jersey Shore. So I did very, very limited work within that, I guess. So like I found a couple jobs doing reality casting. And honestly, like, and I was still living with my parents, and I was so incredibly miserable.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 22? Are we talking like 22?
21, 22.
People don't talk about that phase of their life almost ever in a positive light. Like you know, if you talk to anybody about like what was going on in your life at 21, 22, 23, and usually people are like, oh, I was going out all the time, I was having a good time. But the job piece of their lives are usually miserable. And it's because you hit that wall of reality as soon as you come out of college where you're like, I'm going to come out making, you know, $45,000 a year. And then you get there and you're like, yeah, thank you for my $25,000 a year, maybe. And also I'm so poor and nobody really wants to hire me. And
I have no life skills.
I have no real applicable life skills. Oh God, oh God. And it's this crushing weight of adulthood that hits you really hard. But the good news is that's the first dip, kids. In case you're just getting there. Don't worry, it'll go up. It'll also go back down. But
it gets better. It gets worse after it gets better, but then it gets better again.
It's kind of this ugly cycle of better, worse, better, worse for the rest of your life. Have fun.
So I was living in my childhood bedroom in my parents' house, interning for reality TV casting 2 or 3 days a week. And the other few days a week, I was my dad's secretary at his law firm.
And are you allowed to say what your dad does? Because it's such a funny, stark comparison to your life.
I don't want to say exactly what he does, but I will say he is an attorney.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he's a big deal attorney. We'll say that.
Little daughter Julie is off in Hollywood being a casting. Yeah.
So what's great is I learned so much working for him, and living at home and working for him are the things that sort of allowed me to move to LA, because it allowed me a way to, you know, make money and save money. Because otherwise I had, I don't know, like $1,000 saved up from summer jobs from high school and college.
That's pretty solid. That's probably way more than I had at that time.
So I'm like, I could start a new life on $1,000.
Again, that ignorance really serving you. No, same thing.
So I had never entertained the idea of moving to LA.
What made you even let that enter your brain?
I was that miserable.
And you're like, LA can't be that much worse.
I genuinely can't put into words how miserable I was and how resentful I was that I had friends who were out there doing it and I was living in my parents' house. It's time that I look back on now, and I'm so like, it sounds so stupid, but like, I'm so thankful for that time in my life. Like, I'm so thankful that I have parents who let me move home, who hired me, who made sure that I had, you know, a route, who wouldn't let me, you know, be homeless. You know, like I couldn't have more supportive parents and a more supportive family. And like, I think because I knew I had that cushion, I wasn't pushing myself. And it was funny. I was really fed up. I was done. I was so done. I was like, and I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. And I called our friend Nate.
Was he already in LA?
He and most of that like Syracuse group of people that you and I both know moved here right after graduation. Not all of them.
They skipped New York. They just came straight out here.
They came straight here. So they already had close to 2 years under their belt by the time I got out here. But I called Nate and I told him what was going on, and he basically said to me, he goes, I go on hiatus from the show that I'm working on in 2 weeks, and then I'm going on I think he had a trip planned to like Peru or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Classic Nate.
Classic.
So he's like, if you can be here in 2 weeks, you can live on my couch as long as you need until I leave on my trip.
Nice.
And I hung up with him and I called my other friend who I went to high school with that lives in LA. And I told him where I was at in my head. And he said to me, if you want to talk about making TV, stay in New York. If you want to make TV, move to LA.
Ooh.
And I'm just like, oh, God damn it. Why you gotta do like that? And I slept on it. And I think the next day I went in to talk to my mom, and I was like, I think I was crying before I crossed through the door.
Yeah.
And she was like, what's going on? I'm like, I think I need to move to LA. Like, I think I got to do it. And she and my dad did that, in retrospect, was the parental thing to do. They gave the pushback at first, which was, are you sure you want to do this? Why do you need to do this? You don't have a job that you're going out there to. You don't have a home that you're going out there to. Do you have it? They were really being no holds barred. Like, these are the odds you're facing. These are the hurdles that are ahead of you. Are you sure that you want to do this 3,000 miles away from your entire family? And it was just, I was at the, maybe 22. Yeah, I must've been 22. I'm like, yeah, I think I got to do it. And I was young enough and stupid enough to do it.
Yeah.
And
do you think, like, I think about that with myself now. I don't think me of today would have the balls or the ignorance to just do it.
No, absolutely not.
7 years ago.
But I'm also, I was on my parents' health insurance. You know, it's so different.
If it was ever going to be easy, it was then.
Yeah. And like, well, I still know that I have 4 years of health insurance left before I need to be a grown up. Yeah. And like that was sort of the barometer. It's like, you have 4 years before you need to have a big girl situation where you can have health insurance, because you can't not have health insurance. That's not an option.
That you had that thought, because I was like, I'm a healthy person. I'm cool.
There's too much like family history of stuff for any one of us to not have good health insurance.
Fair.
Like, we just don't tempt the fates here. Just have it.
I'm so glad that I had that ignorance and it actually worked out, because I definitely went like, I think 2.5 years without health insurance when I moved to LA. And thank God.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh is right.
There's a gamble.
Yep. Thanks, Planned Parenthood, for keeping the birth control going, at least.
Yeah, can we put a link to like donate to Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks for keeping Baily alive.
So I also know that I can't sit in a car for 3 days with the same person, so I ship my car out. And
so you're like, road trip is not an option.
That's not a thing I'm interested in doing. No, thank you. So I ship my car out, and Nate picked me up at the airport. And like, you know how I said, like, I was really miserable when I was living at home? Well, as it turns out, I was more miserable when I moved to LA.
Living on a couch wasn't your speed?
Living on a couch. Nate at the time he had 2 other guy roommates, because this was I don't know if you knew him at the old apartment. And so they each had a bedroom, and I was living on the couch in the living room. And it was just like not a great situation. And I just remember once he was like, so on Wednesdays we watch Survivor, and I know that that's technically your bedroom, but we're watching Survivor on Wednesday, so it's up to you if you want to be here. Like, so that's how I got into Survivor for the rest.
Oh my gosh, that is too. You were forced into it.
I was forced into liking. Now I love it, but I was forced into liking Survivor. So I was looking at that point for any job that would take me, and I ended up. I can't remember how long it was, but I wanted to leave after the second day. I think the second day I called my mom and was like, this isn't for me.
I have made a horrible mistake.
It's too sunny. I'm just sweating all the time. Like, I don't like it here. And she was like, Julie, you haven't even been on vacation yet.
Right.
She goes, you've been there for 2 days. Wait till you've at least had a vacation. Why don't you think of this as a vacation? So stay there for 2 weeks, enjoy a vacation in LA, And if you really still hate it, let's have this conversation again.
It sounds like you're at summer camp basically for the first time and your mom's like, give it a chance. You haven't made new friends yet.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And I was like, I am not the type of person that could sit home all day. You get two in your head. It's just not, I can't do it. So I'm like, I'm going to look for jobs in TV casting, and I'm going to look for jobs reality casting, and whoever calls me back first, that's the job I'm taking. That's where I was. It was that simple.
So who was the lucky winner?
The first job I had, so I was living on Nate's couch in Santa Monica, and I got a job doing reality TV casting in downtown LA. So anyone who's listening who is
everybody just shuddered.
that's like a solid 40-minute commute.
If not more, yeah.
If you're not hitting any traffic. So that was brutal.
And you had your car at least. That's good.
Yeah, so it was this reality show that they'd been trying to get off the ground for years and years and years. And the thing about reality TV casting is it's different from scripted casting. You have pilot season, obviously, which is, you make a pilot of a show and then they decide if it's going to get picked up to series. What they do in reality casting is they make a sizzle reel. You do like a 2 minutes of what the show would be if it was made. So we were trying to cast a sizzle reel for this show that was about arranged marriages.
Sure.
And we reality casting is a lot of cold calling people and saying, hey, do you want to be on my TV show? Here's why it won't ruin your life.
So it's kind of a different sell than people coming and auditioning for you.
Yes. But it was you know what? They were hiring me and the other people weren't. It was that simple. Yeah. And when you're for the first time in your life and like, oh, I've never paid rent before. Like I need to pay rent. Like I've never, bought my own groceries before.
Wow.
Like these are things that I need to do now and I need a paycheck. And this is what I can do. And it was one of those things that work begot work. And as soon as I got the first job, I got a second. And these are the way it works is you're working on a show for like 2 or 3 weeks. It was real, just quick, changing jobs every few weeks. And then I was changing jobs every 2 months. So it was just
bless all of you guys in the industry's hearts that can handle and withstand like that kind of constant change.
It's so brutal.
I know that I couldn't do it.
But that's the thing. It sucks so bad when you're getting started that it weeds people out very quickly.
Did you think about quitting and going home at any point?
Not once I got started.
So you stuck it out.
Once I got the first job is the hardest one to get. I think that's true for probably any and every industry. Yeah. And it just so happened that I fell in with good people and got hired by good people who took really, really good care of me.
I feel like that's not a normal story in entertainment.
My first boss who ever hired me in LA on this job now lives down the street from me. And like we got drinks 6 months ago. Like, it's people that to some degree I still stay in contact with because they had my back when no one else did. They really just looked out for me and made sure that I had a job. And it was like, these are people that check in. They're like, they'll just email me and be like, I have a show coming up. Are you available? And there's no hard feelings if you're not, but they've worked with you before, that you want to work with people that you like.
I mean, I think that is 100% true for every industry, right? Like you find the people that are good to you and that you're good to, and you stick with them job after job. That's how, the only jobs I've ever had that I've truly hated and not been the right fit for have been jobs that I got without somebody recommending them to me. They were kind of Craigslist or whatever jobs, but every job where somebody I knew told me about it has been a great job for me. It's because they've got your back and they wouldn't, suggest something to you that was going to suck for you. So
that's when I very actively suggested friends not work at places.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, same. Yeah. Otherwise you're a terrible friend.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes
So
I feel
let's,
like I don't think that's for you. So
yeah.
so I
Let's
get
fast
into reality
forward.
casting,
Yeah.
and I did that for my first year and a half, 2 years, something like that out here. And basically I woke up one morning and just was just like, no, I'm done. I
Mm.
don't want to do this anymore. I didn't move 3,000 miles away from my family to do this. This isn't what I moved to LA to do. And there's a little bit more to it than that, but I basically walked into my boss's office. I was like, this is my last show. Like, I will finish my contract. Please don't call me again. And I said that, I'm like, because if you call me, the money was really, really good. Like, I'll put it on the table. Like, the money was really, really good, Baily. And I was like, if you call me again, I'm going to take the job, and I don't want to take the job. So I'm asking you nicely, please do not call me.
Oh, this is like in Good Will Hunting at the end when he's like, one day I'm just not going to show up, or one day you're not going to show up and it's going to be the happiest day of my life. Yeah. Oh.
So, every job I've ever left, I've left on great terms, which is,
that's awesome.
And it's people that I really genuinely keep in touch with, and I love them, and I still I'll watch their shows. I'm like, oh, I know.
Yeah, that's got to be really cool too. To see, I mean, it's been cool from an outsider's perspective. And for those of you listening, like Julie and my friend group, like pretty much everybody's in the entertainment industry, and I'm so not. And so from an outside perspective, it's really freaking cool to watch these people. I've been here 7 years, to go from assistants and, doing tons of grunt work to like being important parts of the industry. It is the best thing ever to see. So I'm sure from your perspective, it's got to feel even cooler because you're watching the people who you've come up with do really amazing things.
Well, I mean, but that's so much of what my job is too. It's watching these people, who have one line on a show, and you see the nugget of talent. And you're like, you're going to be something. And I'm going to help you.
That's gotta feel incredible.
I'm going to if you're right for a part, we're going to bring you in, and I'm going to show my other friends who work in casting how good you are. Because even if you're not going to be on my show, at least be on a show. People should be watching you, and that's what's so fun. But it's also that's the best part of the job. It really is. It's just, and it's so much fun because you get so invested. You get so invested in some people where it's just like, oh man, it's so great to see good things happen to good people. And you spend a lot of time with these people, especially when they go through the process.
Yeah.
Some people get offered shows, and some people audition 7 times for the same role. And it's like, you're in it with them. It's like, oh God, I want it.
So walk me through your typical day and what your favorite parts are. I mean, I can see this being the biggest, best part, because you literally get to see people emerge in their careers in front of your eyes, mostly due to you helping them, which is awesome. Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna write. We have to jump back to how I got my first actual scripted job real quick, because it's just such your ladies helping ladies thing.
I love it. Go on.
No, because this is such a Baily thing. I grew up with this girl named Rachel, who we went to Hebrew school together. We've known each other since we're in kindergarten. She did a reading at my bat mitzvah. This is my girl. We didn't really talk. She ended up going to a different high school than me, so we didn't talk for high school and college. We sort of lost touch. And then she moved to LA a couple years before I did. We finally reconnect, and she was working as an assistant on I feel like I could say the show. She was working as an assistant on Cougar Town.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, this, I was working in reality TV casting. I'm like, this is what I want to do casting. This is what I'm here for. She goes, well, I don't know the casting people well. I could hand off your resume. I don't know if it's doing anything. I don't know if they're hiring. I have no idea what they're, I'm sort of tight with their associate. So I'm okay giving them your resume. I'm like, okay, awesome. I don't hear for months. And then finally Rachel phoned. She goes, hey, I happen to be going out to dinner tonight with the casting associate on Cougar Town. You want to come with me?
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, sure. So Jade from America's Next Top Model was our hostess. Thank you.
Oh, man.
I will always remember that. And so the three of us have dinner. And I didn't know that it was a job interview.
Ah, which is probably good,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And, you know, Emily brought my stuff to the casting. She goes, you know, this is Julie. This is her thing. You know, she has no experience in casting, but like what assistant when they start does.
Sure.
And they ended up hiring me with absolutely no experience. So I don't know why they did it, but I will forever, ever, ever be grateful.
Because that's the whole point in leveraging your network to get jobs, because they vouch for you.
Yep. And then Emily really, she's one of those people that, Emily was the associate on Cougar Town. She's one of those people who just took the time to teach me. And like, she took me under her wing. She goes, I can tell that you're in this for the long haul. I can tell that this isn't a job. This is a career. Like, I know that this is what you want to do. So I'm not wasting my time teaching you. She sat there with me and she explained things to me. And like, she's still one of my really close friends. Like, we talk all the time. I go to her when I have problems at work. You know, it's one of those relationships. And it was, I've been so lucky to have like a series of really awesome women who have passed my resume along, who have recommended me for jobs, who have taught me, who have kept me around and said like, you are clay and I'm going to mold you in my image. Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So
And do you have anybody below you that you've been able to do that for yet?
Not yet. But I hope to. Yeah, it's just, I haven't.
It's the circle of life. It's the circle of career life.
Yeah, it'll happen inevitably, but I don't know if I'm far enough in my career yet to have that underling.
You will, though, and it's going to be really cute when you do.
I can't wait. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So what would you say out there for the people listening that are like, wait, casting, that sounds amazing. If you could give younger Julie any bit of advice on, and I'm never a big fan of like skipping steps, right? I don't think, whenever I ask like, what advice would you give your younger self? And people say kind of nothing, because she needed to do it the way that she did it to get to where she is. But, you know, for somebody like coming in from the outside or starting to just think about this, what would you say? Is there a logical route in? Is there like the right kind of step or the right kind of internship to take? Or is it all kind of just, you got to just take what comes?
Well, I think there, in the entertainment industry, I think there's two routes, sort of generally speaking. The first route is if you know what you want to do specifically, if you know you want to be in casting, if you know you want to be a producer, if you know you want to be a writer, and you're like, and I mean, you're sure that this, or you want to be a cameraman. Like, if you're sure, then you sort of,
camera lady too.
Or a camera lady. Yes. And I worked with amazing camera ladies.
Oh, good. So they do exist.
Yes. They absolutely exist. And there are some awesome projects right now that are like all about hiring all female crews. And it's so cool seeing these like female produced TV shows and features. It's awesome. There's so much cool stuff happening right now with women getting opportunities to do things that before they weren't allowed to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of rule breakers, and they're so cool.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. So the first route is the direct route of starting as, I mean, the problem is a lot of places don't have internships anymore, which has made it a lot more difficult. To an extent, there's ways around that. I'm not going to say any because I'm not stupid. But basically it's really hard to find someone to get you your first job, and it's a lot of networking, and it's a lot of saying, you know what, well, can I sit in on a session for a day? Can I stay in the office for a day and just watch? Can I shadow you? And that would be one way. I think to a degree, the more common route, I think a lot of people don't know exactly what they want to do. Or have a lot of difficulty finding that first job and just need something to get them something that's within the realm of what they want to do that will pay the bills.
I was going to say, like, do you feel like it's easy to get pigeonholed if you just take something that's like in there? Like I know that getting stuck in as an assistant is like a real thing.
Absolutely.
If you're good, then nobody wants to let you go.
Yeah. I think it's easy to get pigeonholed, but I think you could get out of it. But because that's the thing, like I was doing reality casting, and it's so easy to be like, oh, she's a reality TV casting director. And it's like, I'm going to change how you see me, because I am not, like, I'm putting my foot down, and I'm
not this person.
I am not that person. I am not looking for those jobs. I am not accepting those jobs. That is something that I did, and it got me to where I am, and now I'm in the next chapter, and this is the only kind of job I am applying for. I knew I wanted to be in casting, so I only applied to be in casting. That's what I wanted.
And you did the right thing, right? You got a very good in somewhere by somebody that could vouch for you as a human, not you as your resume until that point. Do you think that you'll always stay in casting? Is it something you could see doing your whole career?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. I have, you could throw this in my face 30 years down the line if something changes, but I can't imagine doing anything different.
What's your dream job within casting?
God, I don't know. It's so funny because I started doing comedies, and I've been working on dramas for the last 2 years. And it's when I was in comedy, I was like, oh, well, I'm only ever going to do comedy. Mm-hmm. That's all I want to do. And then when I was doing drama, I'm like, oh, well, this is this is a completely different. So I don't know. I
You're
don't
open to that being
I'm very open to anything. I obviously the end goal is to be a casting director.
Is that the height of this job path?
Yeah. Well, 'cause it really is very much so. Like the alternate route would be if you wanted to be the head of casting at a studio or a network, but that is, in my opinion, the corporate route. It's it's political, it's bureaucracy, whereas I think this is sort of the fun part. I think it's so much fun to be in the room. It's fun to get to play. We just you get to play with the actor. You know what? Do it silly. Do it just forget everything that you've been preparing. Just do it the way you would. It's fun getting the immediate thing, but that's a fraction of the job. It's so funny. I thought that was the job. That's there's so much more to the day-to-day.
What's the worst part of the job?
The absolute worst is after you cast someone in a pilot and you find out that the studio and network have decided that they no longer want that person to be part of the show.
Do you have to tell them?
It's normally their agent or the creator of the show that relays it. But I would say without question, that's the worst. Or I feel that's a real aggressive number one. Yeah. And then the second worst would be working on a pilot that doesn't get picked up.
And that happens a good amount, right?
I would say I think I'm ahead in the count. I think most pilots I've done have gone to series, but there's been a lot of pilots that I've done that haven't, and it's like it's your baby, dude. Yeah. The only way I could describe making a pilot and the stress level and the degree of work that goes into it. Imagine an accountant, the 2 weeks leading up to April 15th, and how their lives are in shambles. Yeah. Yep. That's what pilot season is for casting.
Oh God.
So it's sometimes it's 12-hour days, and sometimes it's you do what you have to do to get it done. And then if you find out in May that it's not going, you're like, oh my God,
all of that was for nothing.
And no one's ever gonna see it.
Yeah, that's got to be heartbreaking.
It's devastating. But I mean, it's so great at the end of making a pilot. Before the pilot actually gets made, once you have your whole cast, they have what's called a table read. which is exactly what it sounds like. Everyone sits around a table. The studio and the network are there. All of the actors that you've cast are there. All the important people are there. And it's the first time that you're hearing everyone together.
That's got to be
it's
really
the first
cool.
time that you're hearing it from opening to closing, once all the way through with all the characters the way it's meant to sound. I have never not cried at a table read.
Aw. I mean, it's got to feel emotional. All your puzzle pieces are together.
Yeah, it is so incredibly emotional.
Aww.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. Is
it better to have loved and lost than to never loved at all in this scenario? Like, would you rather go through that and then potentially have the pilot not get picked up than just not do it at all?
If it's something you're passionate about, absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, there's no way of knowing if it's going to go or not. I've been wrong so many times. I've thought shows were a sure thing that didn't go, and I've thought there's no way this is getting picked up, and it gets picked up. And it's like, oh well, I was way off base.
Well, all right then. Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to be surprised.
Sure.
I'll say I love being proven wrong. I really do. I love saying like there's no way that person's right. And then you watch them do like, oh, I was super, super wrong. I'm so happy I was wrong.
That's got to be a good ego check too that you get on the regular is that. So you never get too much in your own head of like, I'm the best casting director on the planet.
That's the thing. Like, and it happens. Sometimes it's like I was completely off base and I'm so happy that, this agent fought for their client and really, put their all into it because they were right. And, for one reason or another, I didn't see it the first time that they did it. And thank you for annoying me until I watched it again. Or thank you for having them redo it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't see, it's always funny to like hear the jobs that people are super passionate about because I still don't want to do what you do. And I think that's exactly the point though, right? Everybody's got a thing that's perfect for them. And I think you've like totally found yours. So I'm just excited to ride your coattails, I knew that bitch. I had her on my podcast back in 2018.
Yeah. Well, I'm so curious to watch this back years from now and be like, oh, well, I was really right on about this stuff and I was really far off base about this stuff. And
when you're a third grade teacher in 10 years, we'll have a really good laugh about this. You would be,
absolutely
you'd be
not
modern day Miss Frizzle. Come on. It'd be the best thing ever.
Well, let me tell you have enough like auditions with kids and you're like, I don't know how teachers do it. I have a lot more respect for teachers now than I did when I was 17, believe me.
Oh God. And I'm sure actor kids are a whole different ballgame than normal children. And that's all we'll say about that.
Bag.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for this. This is so cool to hear like your whole origin story. And I love when people love what they do. So yay.
Oh, Baily, you're the best. This is super fun.
Thanks, Joel. See you, everybody.
Bye, guys.